Okay, this is part 4 now. I've decided I don't think I'll be able to get through everything in time, so I am adding a part 5 to this, alright, which wasn't displayed before. But let's go ahead and take a look. Actually, let's go ahead and look in here. I finished things up last time with a kind of third progress file, okay, and I just went ahead and saved that out as just the overall finished file for this lesson. And then now we're on to part 4. Okay, so taking that same file, this is just where we're beginning last time, and what I'll do is to keep kind of going with giving us little kind of micro updates. Let's go ahead and save this as progress 4. Alright, and let's go ahead and get things underway. So this time let's go ahead and make it so we can kind of stand on these things, these little brick guys here. And the first thing I'm going to do to get that underway is just create a box. Actually, well, let me first explain that. I am going to click inside of this platform's, this symbol that's got a lot of other things in here. It's all these little guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's put down just any colored box, will not matter. Maybe a dark blue though. And I'm going to make it 20 by 20 pixels. And let's go ahead and make it into a symbol. So I'm going to call this landing. Called landing zone, I guess. Alrighty. And what I'm going to do is zoom in a bit and just put it right over top this box here. And just looking at these numbers, that's a great position for 20, 20. Okay, so it is kind of keeping to this 20 by 20 grid that we're putting all these things at. And you know what? Since I added this other little box here, let's go ahead and put one there. And let's go ahead and just jump into inside of this symbol now. So we're in here, we're back down to where this blue artwork's at. And one more time, I'm just going to make this into a symbol. I'm going to call it just invisible. Alright, and this is actually going to be where I'm going to type the action script for this little box. And of course, again, the reason I kind of doubled up on making 2 of these symbols is because now I can type action script in here. I can say landing box, okay, and that will also be inside of this one too. Okay, so same deal with all these bricks. We want to make these independent units of functionality. Wherever I copy this, if I wanted to just take that and throw it over there we go. It's going to be ready to hop into action for us when we need it to. So, okay, here we go. We're going to say on clip event load. And the deal with this is when this thing loads up, only when it loads up, when it first enters into the scene, okay, when it's just loading right there, it's just going to run through what is inside of here, and it's not going to run through there again. Whereas when we had these other ones that were the enter frame ones, which we'll also add, these keep running through, kind of just like looping around as long as it exists on there. So that's the big difference between these. And for this, what I'm going to say is parent. Okay, so referring to the parent symbol. Okay, it's gonna equal false for the visibility. All right. And be sure you get that little the little underscore in the action script, because when I was just testing this out, I forgot to add that, and I was going, well, it's green, it looks like it's correct, but no, you got to put that in there, and then everything will be good. So with that there, now when I publish this file, you will not see this blue around it. Okay, see, not there at all. What I'll do though is just make it. Let's do this. Make it a little like a 10% alpha, just so that when we are, I'll make it a little darker. So just when we're working through this file, we can kind of see, okay, here's where these like little landing zones will be. But when they get published, they will, of course, be gone. All right, so just kind of a nice little marker to know where they're at. You could make that 100% on the, or 0% on the alpha if you wanted, if you just didn't want to see them at all. But I think it's a little bit nicer to be able to figure out exactly where they're at. Okay, so let's get back over here, and we're going to do, yet again, another hit test. Okay, so we're going to say this dot hit test. And while I'm typing this out, notice that we're not putting any of these hit testing things on the man himself. The reason being is because if I did do that, I would have to give each one of these little independent units their own instance name, okay? And thus every time I copied one out, I'd have to give it an instance name. And certainly within the action script for this guy, I'd have to keep kind of like testing all those different, things. So this is just a lot easier to do. Anyway, I'm going to use the same thing I did before, where I said, or I tested to see if he was actually jumping. Okay. And if you don't remember that, I believe it was inside of here, where I said if he's in his current jump state, all right, then we're going to do what is involved there. So same kind of deal. All right. So first thing we will do is make this guy stop jumping, okay? Because he's going to be landing on something, so it doesn't make any sense to have him jump any further. So we're going to say go to and stop 1 for our jump meter, okay? So that'll put that back to 1, where it's not telling it to go up or down anymore. And we're going to also say root dot man y equals and let's talk about this. Alright, so when he interacts with this box, when the man does, we are going to lock his y value to the same y value as the parent, okay, of this box right here. Okay, so that's its y value, and you can see that if our numbers all make sense, if they're all kind of matched up with the overall coordinates of the main file, that should work out perfectly. And again, that goes back to what I was explaining before, where we want to make sure that everything in here has the same x and y coordinates as everything that would be, let's say, up on the main timeline like that. So if we said that we want, when this guy interacts with this, okay, that the y value will be 220, all right, then let's just put him at 220 right here. Let's see what happens. Okay, so he'll be correctly positioned with that box at that point. So let's, you know what? Let's not pretend it's working. Let's go ahead and actually see if it does work. And I believe, for right now, that's all we're going to type into here, I think. And no. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do the double equal signs. That's what it was. Okay. Can't forget those guys. All right, so again, I'm just kind of moving around. I'm going to making this guy jump, and let's see what happens when. Oops. Look at that. Look what's going on. He's kind of got some problems with how he's positioned. And what we're going to do to solve that is, check this out. Well, right now what he's at is he's at kind of the same y value as this box, or as the I'm sorry, as that the y value of that invisible box, the landing thing I put above him. And you notice how he's probably about, let's see, maybe 10 to 15 pixels too low for it. What we're going to do now is solve that by taking a look at this. This guy is not actually kind of conforming to our everything being like 20 pixels from each other, okay? So let's put this guy at 320, all right? And hey, it looks like he's about the same distance away from, our kind of invisible grid that we are conforming things to. So let's reposition him now. All right, this is kind of hard to explain, but you'll see what happens. I'm gonna go into here. All right. What I'm going to do is unlock everything in here, and just with this button selected, this edit multiple frames. Okay, I'm gonna kind of select out this way. So if I these are all the multiple frames I want to select. So now what I'll do is I'll just hit select all. Okay, so it's got these 3 elements selected up on this layer, and it's also got that hit area that we added before, and they're all selected. Now let's just move this guy up some. Okay, and I'm just going to make him right above this little area. I'll zoom in to show you a little bit closer. He's not even touching that little block, and that's good because we don't want him touching that thing when he's just kind of standing still like that. But let's now unselect this or uncheck the multiple frames, and you can see when we zoom out, it's hardly noticeable that he's not really touching it. Okay, so now what should happen is everything should work out perfect. Let's just see. So now if I jump up, oh, there we go. Look at that. Looks like he's landing just perfectly on that line right there. Okay, same with this guy. And of course we haven't programmed in how he's going to get back down. All right. So let me just close and kind of test the movie one more time, just to show you. So he does make it, when he collides with that one right there. Okay, he's now on this kind of that Y value, and then if I bump him up one more time, he makes it up to that one. So, and that whole thing that I just had to kind of do for you guys, where he's where I had to readjust where his values inside of there. That was just kind of a mistake I made in the very beginning, and obviously I discovered it kind of before I tested this file out, that I needed to give him that little nudge up of 12 pixels or so he lands perfectly on these boxes. But with that compensated out, we are ready to do a few other things. Let's do this. Let's hop inside of here. Okay, get back to this little part. And I think we need to put a little bit of just some notes in here. Let's do this. We'll just say reset jump meter to 1. Alright, that's kind of an obvious one. Sets the man to landing box. And there is one more thing I'm going to do here because, oops. Oh, what did I do? There we go. I just kind of want to make sure that we definitely tell this guy that he's no longer jumping. Alright, equals false. Okay. And signatures. And that'll kind of come in later. Well, it may or may not. It's just one of those things that I thought was a good idea, that since we are kind of specifying here that he has to be jumping in order to land on this thing, let's go ahead and just kind of set him off of that. So in a sense, it almost like kind of breaks this little if statement. Okay, but I want to add one more variable, and I'm going to go ahead and just add it up here. All right, I'm going to say global dot. This one is one of my favorite ways of naming variables, is to be very obvious with them. So I'm going to say on underscore solid underscore ground equals true. And we're going to start to use this for basically testing to see if this little guy kind of runs off of solid ground. Then we're going to kick into play some gravity for him, or some fake gravity. But so that's kind of the first time we're going to use this. And what we could do, though, is because when you start these files, undoubtedly also be on solid ground there. So let's give him a starting variable of just a match that. So we'll say, hey, look, he is on solid ground. And of course, right now this variable does absolutely nothing for us because we're not really testing if any of these things are on solid ground. But we're gonna use it, you know, probably right now. Okay, so let's first do this. I'm going to excuse me. Take this same little invisible box here, right? And I'm just going to move it down to being at 320 for that. And let's do this. Let's kind of retool our game board a bit. I'm just going to take all these off, all right? Just set things up new. Okay, we just want to give them a bit of a surface to run around on. And I think kind of from here on out, this guy is going to need these landing zones to exist. Okay, otherwise he's going to start falling down somewhere. And you know what? While we're at it, let's go ahead and just give something else to play with. Let's go ahead and put this up at 60. Oh, let's go 120. And let's give them a few more. Go out this way. Okay, so let's get our script editor back up here. And the first thing I want to do is get back into this little realm we're typing in here. You know, I'm just gonna kind of compress everything a little bit. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to copy this first part of this if statement, all right? And this time, though, it's kind of simple. It's just testing if these things happen without the jumping being true, okay? And let's see, do I have that in the right place? I think so. All right. So nothing else is conditional to this other than just, hey, these two guys running into each other. You know what? I do need to add extra parentheses there. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is say global dot on solid ground equals true. Okay, because obviously this is true. If these, you know, the only time actually we're using these little guys is to make him on solid ground at all. So we definitely know that that's going to be true. And the other thing I want to do is just take this same thing right here, and I will put that there for right now. Although, you know what? Let me test that just to make sure I haven't locked this guy into not being able to jump. Okay, so you can still jump. All right, that's fine. Okay, so let's do this. We know that if this guy is going to collide with any of these things, he's definitely going to be on solid ground. Let's do this, though. Let's get back up to our trusty jump meter. All right. And one of the things we can set up now is on the second frame, when this guy begins to jump, we know that he won't be on solid ground anymore. So we'll say he's jumping. And we can now say, oops. All right. Now, here's where we get into something kind of tricky. And kind of interesting, though, too. What we're going to do is make it so that if this guy is just kind of jumping around and he gets all the way out to here, all right, and he hasn't found some solid ground to land on, then he's going to keep falling, okay? So in that case, obviously, we're just going to keep adding numbers to his y-axis. So what we're going to do is put a little bit of action script right here. And you know what? I think this will take off. Although, you know what? We might as well just keep, we'll add something right there. We don't need to take that off. We're going to say if equals false, all right. And of course, the reason this would equal false would be if he has been jumping around, if he's been doing his whole jump thing, and he hasn't managed to come back and collide with one of these things. Okay, then what we're going to say is go to and play. We'll make this a new frame label, falling. All right, and close that off right there. All right, and if that's not true, though, if of course he has landed on solid ground, then this else part of the statement will get kicked in, and we'll just say go to and stop 1. All right, 1 just being, of course, back here again. All right. Okay, so let's set up the our little kind of falling trap. That's basically what this is. He's going to get stuck in here if he hasn't found any ground to land on. Alright, so what do we want to do here? You know what, I actually want to show you guys just visually that this comes into place. What I'm going to do is just take this little kind of green box, alright, I'm going to put it right there, but this time I'll make it red. So that way if I make this little guy jumping around and we end up getting into this area, okay, we will show it red. And of course, again, this whole jump meter thing is something that ultimately it's kind of pointless to show on the screen. I don't think we'd want to show it. All right, so this statement right here, oops, this one right here is going to be, oh, look at that, I typed something wrong. Good thing I found that. Okay. Is going to be really kind of identical over here as well, except with one kind of major change to it. We're going to say root dot, oh, you know what, we can just steal this from over here too. Alright, and let's do this. We're making him fall down 10. You know what, I'm going to take this same bit of action script and just copy it over here for right now. I'll test to see if I actually need to do that. I can't remember if I had to. But I think this will work for us. Otherwise, you know, if it plays over here to this next frame, well, it's just going to get caught in the same loop again. But so anyway, let's read through this. If he's, of course, if he's not on solid ground, same thing as last time. We're just going to send him back to falling again, and we're just going to make him. This time, though, we're only going to kick him down 10 pixels, okay? Because this could run through itself pretty quick. We don't want to send him down too fast. And again, otherwise, if this whole thing isn't true, he's going to be back at frame 1. And I think we're ready to test this thing out. Let's just give it a shot. Okay, so I'm going to, of course, jump up and kind of ignore the fact that I can kind of run off these platforms. Not our concern right now. All right, so I'm going to jump up again. Oh, there we go. Look at that. That actually did work. All right, so, and keep your eye on this little part right here. See how it turns red for a second? I know it might be kind of difficult with the frame rate of these videos, but you know, I can jump all around here, And so long as I make it to solid ground again, I'm kind of doing okay, you know. And that's probably the best place to show it to you guys, is that if I get up here, and if I take just a flying leap over this way, and look at that. He's probably now somewhere well off the off the screen. Look, he's still falling. And of course, that would be a case where we'd want to set up some sort of death variable for him. But that's actually a good example. I didn't think about doing that before. But now, and of course, again, too, I can walk off of these things. Okay, we haven't set up anything yet to make it so that he can't do that. But so long as he gets into a, you know, like a crazy suicide jump like that, he's definitely in trouble. All right, and let's see, I don't think I have one of those. No, I don't have one set up there. But again, it's always good to just kind of run through here and just make sure everything else is working every time you make any addition or obviously subtraction to the code. Just see, okay, am I still able to bump into these things? Am I still able to do that? What happens? You know, you kind of got to test through things. Actually, what I just did there is something we'll talk about later on in the lesson, where, look, he goes up like that. I found that to actually kind of be a good thing throughout, but there's ways to kind of make him bounce back from just, you know, running into something like that. Okay, but so far I think we're doing really good, and this seems like a great time to save our progress out as progress 5. Okay, so I'm going to save this one. I'll publish it one last time, and now let's go save as. Okay, and we're ready for more stuff then. So let's work on a little bit of gravity for this guy, and I think we will go ahead and start another variable. Okay, and I think this will end up being kind of surprisingly simple for y'all. At least it was for me when I was just beginning to do this. I thought the gravity issue would be a little bit tough, but it's not that bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is say global.gravity equals false, just as a starting variable. And actually, how this is going to kind of work is that variable, which just switches between true and false, is kind of really more like the possibility of gravity existing in this all these possible scenarios. So when we're kind of going through and making this switch from true to false in different places, there's going to be a separate movie clip that really truly decides whether or not we're going to kick in gravity. So there's just going to be places where we know that we don't want even the possibility of kind of like testing for gravity, I guess we could say. And so one of them is in the beginning here, because we're going to start this guy off on solid ground, okay? And another good place to add that will be, this is kind of an obvious one, on all these like little landing zones, okay? Because we know that if this guy is touching one of these, then he's got some gravity, or he doesn't need to worry about his gravity possibly falling out from underneath him. And so we're going to say global.gravity equals false right there, okay? And notice this is kind of a case where the difference between this whole little if statement and this one are starting to become a little bit different, because prior to this they had, these two lines of code right here also occurred up in here, but now we're doing things a little bit different. Okay, so in case anybody was wondering why we haven't even had any difference between those two, but anyway, let's go ahead and do this. Let's figure out how we're going to make this gravity come into play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this guy, and basically anytime I press either to the right or the left, all right, I'm going to switch the gravity to being true, okay, and I'm going to do that right here. Let's see, I'm going to say set Possibly. All right. And let's go ahead and do. All right, so let's take this these two lines and we will put them right down here. Okay, so it's now for the left and right key, and let me just put another note down here, speed stuff below. All right, just so we can kind of keep these notes somewhat accurate. Okay, and all right, so now what we need to do is set up a separate movie clip that will deal with issues arising from gravity possibly being true. All right, and what I'm going to do is, this will be kind of a little bit like our little jump meter over here, whereas it's just going to be a movie clip we set up just off screen, off stage, and I'll call it gravity. All right, just like that. And this doesn't need to be dynamic text, it can just stay static like that. Okay, and I'm just going to make it into a movie clip. We'll call it gravity. Okay, and let's do this. Let's double click inside of here. All right, I'm just going to add a separate layer up here and put another frame here. Okay, insert frames. All right, and here we go. So this is just going to be looping throughout the entire movie, okay? And it's going to be testing things on both frames here. We're going to say if, oops, double equal signs, of course, equals true, all right? And the other thing I'm going to kind of make conditional to this is global.jumping equals false. All right. And the reason being, if our guy is currently jumping, okay, because that's what happens if global.jumping equals true. That means he's in a jump. All right. So during that time, I don't want this thing to be this if statement to be active at all. All right. So basically, think of it like this: this if statement gets run only if we've just keyed over to the left or the right. All right. So just, you know, on that instance when we press that button, all right, that's the only time it can equal true. All right. And if jumping is false, so basically you can think of it like this: anytime this guy is just on one of these, kind of resting on one of these platforms, and he's moving around, that's where we're going to call this into effect, possibly. Okay. So we are going to say I'm going to add 10 pixels to him. Okay. And I think, let's see, let's do this. Let's just take this. We'll add one other thing here. We'll go global.on solid ground equals false. Okay, and that way it's you know, we just kind of are setting this up so, and that makes sense. You know, if he's currently falling, that we can kind of lift that out from underneath this guy. Okay, so let's test for this on both of these two keyframes here. All right, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, we are going to be set up to test this out right now. Let me just do one. Let me check one other thing real quick. Okay, so now think of it like this. Even before I run through it, I just want to show you guys one other thing. So say I key to the left or the right, all right, and when I do that, when I key to the left or right, I'm telling it that, hey, gravity equals true. But The only thing that would kind of counter that, all right, is this statement right here, okay? So remember, this statement is basically saying, hey, if this little area is, you know, coinciding with this little guy right here, then it's basically switching gravity back to being false. And what it's doing is it's probably running through that quicker than the amount of times I hit left or right, okay? And actually, I do know that's true. These statements right here, these interframe statements, these on-clip events, these are running through, they're processing like way, way faster than you know, the rate at which I I can possibly run through these left or right keys, okay? So, but the second, though, that I hit one of these left or right things and this doesn't occur, okay, so gravity doesn't immediately get switched back to being false, that means that right here, this can possibly come into effect, all right? Okay, so let's see what happens. Let's test it out. All right, so I'm just kind of moving along, doing my thing, okay, and oh, look at that, he falls right off, okay? I'm going to just start it back over again. Okay, and that's going to work for us, you know, on these platforms as well. All right, so jumping through here. And you will remember previously we had, you know, we had kind of a pseudo-gravity coming into play, you know, prior to this when we jumped up and just moved out of the way. All right, but now we can just kind of fall off these things like so. You know, just kind of, let's see how close we can get off the edge of the side. Nope, not too close. So, that's pretty cool. I think that that's going to work out quite well for us. And here's actually something I have to keep kind of resetting this thing. But I believe I can make this jump. Oh no, you know what? Hold on a sec. Let me get back over here because I don't have any of these landing zones over here. But you can kind of see even at these early stages, you know, if I start moving things over like this, you know, I can really start to set up, you know, an actual game. I can go over here and do some crazy things. And here's where, you know, the whole thing gets kind of interesting because, you know, look, see how quickly I started to make a kind of game board there, and oh, you know, I'm off into the water. So anyway, let's take those off for right now, and let's do this. That was kind of even as simple as that was kind of a big, you know, it's a big step for us getting that gravity in there. So let's go ahead and save our progress out one more time here. Let's go and save this as progress 6. Okay, and let's do this just to kind of show you guys. Alright, so we're now going to be working on this. And so each one of these, easy reference for you guys to see what steps we have taken. Alright, so next up, let's just clear up kind of some odds and ends with where we're at with this, and then we'll start to get even crazier. We'll make these cloud guys move around a little bit, make some moving things to jump on. So yeah. Okay, since I was kind of running into this problem testing it, not a problem, but it'd be nice to be able to have a little hit test down here, so if this guy does run into the water, he doesn't, well, it just resets, so it's kind of annoying when he just runs or keeps falling off stage like that. So let's do this. Let's put a hit area down, oh, I guess right about here, that's fine. In fact, you know what? Let's put this on the main stage. We don't need to put it down in that platform zone. So let's do this. We'll just I'll just be on this background layer here, and so this will be something just totally off screen the whole time, and it doesn't need to move around the background either because you know, this guy, he's not actually moving anywhere other than just up and down. So let's do this. We will just make this into a symbol. We'll just call this Death Zone. Alright. And this should be an easy one for everybody. We'll say on clip event, enter frame, if this dot hit test. Go to, oops, well, just trying to make things look nice. All right, go to and play 2. How about that? And actually, I need to specify root right here because what I'm telling to go to and play 2 is just the second frame up here on this main timeline. And you know what? Actually, what I should do is I should call this something that makes a little bit more sense. Let's do this as death zone. And you know what? Let's even call it death zone 1. How about that? So what we can do is make this. Okay. In fact, I'm going to create a new layer up here. Let's call this frame labels. Alright. I'll drag this out a little bit. And what I'll also do is just put some blank keyframes all right here. How about right there? And let's call this level 1. Alright. Just thinking ahead because we probably will have more levels eventually out here. Or at least I'll show you guys how to do that. And we'll just say right here. No, let's go to and stop. Okay, so this should make sense for everybody. If basically, if our little guy, if our man runs into, let's shorten this up some. If he runs into this little black zone right here, if we hit test that, okay, he's just we're going to send the main timeline, the root of this document, to death zone 1, and we're saying go to and play, so it'll just skip out to here, and it'll just send us right back to level 1, which will also kind of just reset all of our variables as well, which is something we definitely want to do. And let's send it into action. Oops, and of course, knowing me, I messed it up. Forgot one parentheses. Always gotta close things off. All right, here we go. Okay, so you can see, hopefully, that does work. All right. And you know what? Probably something that we would need to do later on. Not so much now. Although you might not have to do it either. I'm just thinking that it's not a bad idea to kind of hard code in the X and Y values of our little man right here. So you could say something like, you could do something like this. And then, of course, just use, you know, X, and it doesn't hurt to do it, and who knows, it could come in handy later on. Alright. Oh, and you know what, though? I don't actually have a stop action on this frame, so we do need to set that up. There we go. Okay, so let's do this. Put that right there. Let's say it stops document start. Alright. Okay, so now we should be alright. Perfecto. But, okay. So let's do this. Let's play around with something here. You know what? This has been driving me nuts for a while too. I do just want to put one of these little landing zones right over this guy right here. And let's see. I'm going to move this whole thing up. Okay, so let's get experimental here and see what happens if I were to take these two, okay, and that's a good spot for them, 160 by 280 over here, and let's test this out. Okay, what happens when this guy is already kind of on the landing platform here and he's colliding with this one brick? Alright, so let's see what happens when I just press up. Okay, so he somehow magically is able to go through this thing and get up to the top. Well, I discovered that one way to deal with that problem is to click inside of him, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to lock this layer and hide this one. So I'm just kind of viewing this his hit area right here. If I take this down to 16, okay, and oops, yeah, and put that kind of right back there, it does some quite beneficial things for us. And so let's see what happens now if, oh, look at that. He just can't get through there. And it's also triggering the bump too. Just reason being is that when this thing was a bit taller before, his hit area was taller, he was able to collide with this thing up here, this landing platform, and thus just kind of like going right through that. So that helps us out quite a bit with that thing. Alright, and so amazingly enough, we have quite a kind of tight little game so far, and definitely I don't think I've said this yet, but I kind of hope you guys are also checking in on let's see, here it is, the Swift files as we kind of progress through this thing, because they do give you a much better depiction of how this game is progressing versus just watching me do it in the movie player, because things are running really quickly, at least as I'm viewing things, but I know the frame rate on the video is much slower, so it's kind of hard to see just how smooth everything is running in the game. And of course, if you are playing it, don't forget, it's the directional arrows that make you move around. So, okay, I think it's time to get moving on to something else. We'll figure that out momentarily. Okay, so you know what? Let's not forget about some of the other cool things that we've already gone and created in previous lessons here. Let's go ahead and bring over these bricks, and let's see. Let me close that out. Let's get the bricks and these kind of mountain thingies. Alright, and what do we do? Just zoom out a little bit here. Okay, I'm just going to paste them on in, put this over here for now. I think these mountains, all we really need to do with is probably just put them on the same level as these clouds. You know what, let's put them, just tuck them in here somewhere, so they can just kind of be off in the distance. And let's just publish real quick to see. Oh, look at that. That looks really good. Yeah, wow. Cool. And of course they'll slide off a little bit slower than the background stuff does. And let's just take them again, just pop them over there. Okay, just to give us a little extra depth. Alright, now, what else? Oh, you know what? I think I imported in here at one point. Yes, here we go. I made this just off in my own time, and I'm going to bring this guy in, this falling man. I just decided it would be a kind of cool idea that when we experience that little falling at this point, to change his artwork a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. Pop this in here, and so what we'll do is we'll say falling for this frame, okay, and well, you know what, let's just keyframe that for now. So that way I can leave him there and then just match this up. Alright, down about 20%. So we can kind of make him falling a bit. at one point or another, somehow I shrunk these things, or I increased them a little bit slightly higher than just 20%. So, okay, that's about right. Okay, so let's do this. Just put in some easy programming for what to do when he starts falling. Let's get our jump meter ready. And this is a simple one. By the way, I did discover that this wasn't necessary right here. Okay. Somehow I figured that out. Let's see. Wait. Yeah, so you don't have to do that right here, but obviously you do have to do it right there, so this becomes a loop. Anyway, let's do this though. Let's make this guy falling. So we're just going to say root.man.goto and play. Or no, let's say goto and stop. Falling. Alright. And let's go ahead and put the same thing right here, and then we'll break this we'll get him out of this falling zone if the else statement occurs. So we'll just say root.goto. Alright, and that should treat us right. Let's just see what happens. Okay, yeah, that's kind of funny. Let me make him get a kind of a giant leap over here. So I'll start him up here, and hopefully you guys can. Oh, there he goes. You can see that. Hopefully. Yeah, it works out quite nice. All right, cool. And by the way, just this, for some reason I started thinking about this. You know, if these numbers are too slow or too fast for you, then you know you control this universe right here. Everything you do is you know, it's up to you. So go ahead and just change whatever you want. You know, if you want to speed things up or slow them down, you know, it's just a matter of changing these you know, numbers. My suggestion though is that you do that at the end, okay, of the lesson, when everything's said and done, and if you've got your copy exactly right and exactly matched up to mine, then feel free to just go ahead and start, you know, messing around with stuff and whatnot. But like if you go off book, you know, if you at this point you decide, oh, I'm just going to go off the reservation here and start changing things, good luck. You know, your file's not going to match up with mine at the end. You won't be able to compare what I've done at the end of the lesson to what you've done because, well, it's you know, you've made these little changes and maybe, you know, that's the smallest little thing can mess things up. Ideally, at the end of the lesson, what you want to be able to do is if there is a problem, okay, you can just copy and paste in artwork from what I've done and just replace out, you know, whatever, your bricks with it, and you know, whatever. You can replace my landing zones with your thing, and that way you can kind of debug things on your own. Okay, so anyway, off topic, but let's grab these bricks over here. We did create them for a reason, and let's do this. Let's put them into this in our kind of platforms section here, and let's do this. Let's take these bricks and let's take also one of these landing zone thingies here. Okay, and I'm just going to copy and paste that over that way. And what I will do is select both of these guys. All right. And wait, let me just see something. Okay, they're a little snug, but that's all right. They kind of bump up right against each other. I'm going to combine both of these now. I'm going to put them into one symbol. All right. I'm going to say brick and landing zone. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is come into here. I'm going to steal all the code off of this. Okay. And let's get back over to here. All right, so we'll go into there. All right, and remember this landing area. It's got all of its code in here. We don't need to do anything with that. Okay, so that's always going to be good to go. And although, you know what? I am going to break this apart. Okay, so the code now, let's just take a step back. Let's do this. I just kind of want to make this clear. Okay, so we've got brick and landing zone. All right, it's this symbol. Okay, within this symbol. All right, so if I double click in here, if you were to click right there, we've already got that code ready to go. And then what we're going to do is put that code that I guess I quickly pasted in there already right there. So just kind of make sure yours is matched up with that. And the only thing that we're going to do now is put a stop action right here. Okay. And we're going to add a couple frames out this way. I'm going to put a keyframe right here. I'll call this gone. Actually, you know what? I like putting frame labels on different layers. Okay, and now, within this same bit of code, we're just going to say parent dot go to play gone. All right. So it's forcing the parent symbol of you know, basically it's forcing this whole thing right here, what's inside of here, to go to this frame label gone. All right, and at which point we are going to get rid of both of those. All right, and now let's take the same stop symbol and just put it right there. Okay, and what this should do now is basically I can punch out this thing, and when I collide with it, it's just going to be gone. It's going to get out of there. So let's see what happens. Test this out. All right. Oh, whoops. And clearly I've done something wrong. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I see what it is. Interesting. I think I need to switch this to be this dot. So let's see. Okay, cool. All right, that works. I don't know if that was obvious, but basically I was turning off the visibility for this whole symbol, this one right here. Okay, but now let's see what happens. All right, so if my guy comes along and hits this thing, notice it's gone, and now there's no way to land on it. Whereas if I were to leave it there, hey, look at that. I've got no problem just walking all over this thing. But if I go over here, bing, it's gone. So let's do the obvious now. Let's click into here, and we will just take this symbol, just paste it right over here, and let's do this. Let's break it apart. Okay. By the way, in case you've already forgotten where the break apart is, it is. In case I've forgotten where the break apart is. There it is. All right, break it apart again. And let's just kind of take a few sections of these bricks and just go like this. Oh, having a hard time selecting that. Okay, you know what I want to do? Because I'm such a perfectionist, I'm going to take all these things real quick. I'm going to just create another layer underneath this one. Okay, put a blank keyframe there. Alright, so now I've kind of doubled up these things like this. And what I want to do is just, with them all selected like that, just make them all black. Okay. And then just kind of give each one of these a little bit of a border to it, so each side has a black around it. Okay. And it's not perfect, but now I'm just going to select them all, paste them together. And I think I'll just go ahead and... Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's take the best looking one. This is kind of obvious. Brick pieces. And now let's just get rid of all the others. Okay. Let's leave it tilted a bit. Alright, and just kind of keyframe it out of the way. Maybe not so dramatic. There we go. You know what? There's a little piece of artwork still on here that's going to drive me nuts. It's right. Okay, it's gone now. Okay, let's get out of here. Let's see. How many more times will we do this? Let's see. Boom, boom. Just go one more. Although we do have the frame rate running pretty quick, so it's not a bad idea to just do this a couple more times. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Boom. Cool. All right, cool. And, you know, just for giggles, let's see. Let's take a whole bunch of them. All right. And why not? Let's put a few... over here. Okay, and let's just play for a sec. Let's see. All right, so I can get rid of all those. Bing, bing, bing. Looks nice. And obviously, of course, once they're gone, oh hey, they don't exist. So let's move over here. Oops. All right, now, actually, you know what? I want to show you something. Let's see how this works. I'm gonna try to get rid of. Oh, that'll be hard for me. You know what? I'm gonna have to set up the grid myself. Let's do this. Let's take out this one, this one, this one, and we'll shift this one over that way. All right, let's see if you can run across this thing. Cool. All right. Oops. What I want to test is if at a certain speed oh yeah, okay. If at a certain speed you can get across these things without falling through. Now notice I'm just going to tap slowly. All right, so I do fall down like that, but if I have enough momentum, I can run across. Okay, now looks like if I have at least 2 bricks right here, I can get up enough speed to go over them. But, well, it looks like, yeah, see how that works? So that is kind of, that has nothing to do with the bricks that, you know, it would have worked with these yellow ones too. But I just thought that was worth kind of noting. All right. So our game is definitely getting there. That's, it's got some cool stuff to it. What else? I'm trying to think. I think actually for this particular file and for this movie, it's time to call it quits and move on to the next one. Let's see. All right. So what I'm going to do is save this out as progress 6 right now, and I guess when I return, I will be. Where will I be? I'll be inside of Classic Gaming 5, and we'll make this into Progress 7. Okay, so look for me in just a bit.